Hello everybody, and welcome to Theology 101. Today I will talk about how to wait for justice. Let's look at Jesus' third beatitude. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. What does the word meek mean? Meekness means to be humble, and being humble is not to think less of yourself, but to think of yourself less. We mistake people with low self-esteem as humble, but that is not true. Whether you have low self-esteem or high self-esteem, you are still looking at yourself. So meekness should not be confused with weakness. Jesus was anything but weak. He stood up to the Pharisees. He faced death and pain. He went against the culture's thinking and loved prostitutes and Gentiles. He was a carpenter for years and was able to throw tables that weighed hundreds of pounds in the temple courts when he cleansed it. Jesus was meek, but he was not weak. And in the same way, Jesus says that his kingdom citizens are to be meek. He says that meek people are happy. Why? Because they will inherit the earth. The word inherit is a verb used for Israel regarding their promised land. In fact, this verse is a quotation of Psalm chapter 37, verse 11. But the meek shall inherit the earth and delight themselves in abundant peace. The context of Psalm 37 points forward to the Messianic kingdom, which is multinational. So the promise in Psalm 37 is a repeat of the land promise given to Abraham and his descendants, Israel. Jesus repeats this verse to say that in his kingdom, one of the nations within his multinational kingdom will be Israel, who would inherit the land originally promised to Abraham and his descendants in Genesis chapter 12. Now, why would Jesus mention Israel and their land? Keep in mind the context. The Jews did not own their land at this time. Rome owned it. They are still waiting for God's promise to Abraham and his descendants to be fulfilled. By now, they also heard Isaiah's vision that promised that in the Messiah's kingdom, they will live in their land again. You see, Jesus is making a political claim against Rome. He is telling his disciples that although their land has Rome's name on it, one day that land will have their name on it just as God promised Abraham. Now, some of you might be thinking, that's great for Israel, but what does this have to do with me? Remember how the kingdom picture will look in the end. It isn't just Israel in their promised land, it is also Gentiles living in their lands. God's kingdom will be multinational. If God will not be faithful to his covenants for his chosen nation, then what hope do we have as the other nations in his kingdom? Jesus' promise in his beatitude matters for us because it informs us of God's character. Whatever he has promised will happen. This is why we can wait on God's promises, because he is faithful in fulfilling his promises. We don't need to fight for what is ours. We can wait on God. We don't have to exercise our power because we can wait on God. In fact, by quoting Psalm chapter 37, Jesus also depicts what it looks like to be meek. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices. Even if your life is miserable right now, you can be happy and know that you will be a part of a kingdom where you will inherit land. We will live in a world without power struggles. We will live in a world where Jesus rules over all nations. So whatever you are going through today, you don't need to worry about those who are doing evil against you because of the next beatitude. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. This is where we see how humility is connected to righteousness. Humble people wait on God because they trust in his promises for them. And one of these promises is that God will bring justice. Notice the phrase hunger and thirst. You can picture this. Imagine what it will look like for a person who not only did not eat for days, but did not have water for days. How would this person look? Do you think this person even cares about how much money is in his or her bank account? This phrase paints a picture of a person who only cares about one thing. This is the same person who is poor, who cries, and who waits. This is a person who knows he or she is in desperate need of something they can't live without. And what is this person hungering and thirsting after? Righteousness. What does righteousness mean? Matthew never uses this word to refer to the imputed righteousness of God in justification. This is Paul's understanding of righteousness. When Paul uses the word righteousness, he uses courtroom imagery. He talks about how nobody, according to God's law, can stand righteous. But when a person trusts in Jesus, his righteousness is imputed to us, and now we stand as righteous. For Paul, righteousness refers to having the right standing before God because of Christ's death on the cross. But keep in mind who Matthew is. Keep in mind who he's writing to. He was writing primarily to Jews. Jews did not understand righteousness this way. Instead, the word righteousness for Jews often referred to justice. So when Jesus says that his kingdom citizens hunger and thirst for righteousness, he is commenting on justice. In the Old Testament, the law often pointed out the poor, the grieving, and the downtrodden. In other words, God really cared about those who experienced injustice and commanded his people to bring justice for them. Oftentimes we see that the victims of injustice in the Old Testament cried out to God. Jesus borrowed the language of Psalm 107 in this beatitude. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. They refers to those who are victims of injustice. And the psalm says that they cry out to God, and God will satisfy their demands later in the chapter. For he satisfies the longing soul, and the hungry soul he fills with good things. Victims of injustice will not see full justice until Jesus returns and rules in his kingdom. Then why did Jesus say that those who hunger and thirst for justice will be satisfied? Because everyone who hungers and thirsts for justice today can be satisfied knowing that Jesus will bring justice on earth in his kingdom. As the Apostle Peter said, but according to his promise, we are waiting for new heavens and a new earth in which righteousness dwells. We wait on God with meekness to bring his kingdom of righteousness and justice on earth. But the world will get a preview of Christ's righteousness and justice today through his kingdom citizen. Imagine if we were so concerned about justice as if we were a starving person looking for food. We will be a lot more active in helping people who are suffering, right? Imagine what a light Christians would be today if we lived out what is already true of us, namely that we are people who hunger and thirst for justice. So why are we hungry and thirsty for justice? Because we are hungry and thirsty for Jesus to reign. Let us remember our identity in Christ. We are his kingdom citizens. We will not stop crying out to God to bring justice around us and place righteousness in us. But until Jesus returns, we will wait with humility because we know that God will always fulfill his promises. Thank you to today's sponsor, On Reverence. They offer a free digital worship music app called Maskill. If you want to find out more, I'll leave some links below in the description box. If you missed the last video about how to be happy, I'll leave a link here for you to watch. And until next time, see you!